The airlines are in the beginning of the biggest hiring boom in history. This is the opportunity that you worked so hard for. But if your plan is to wait until you receive the airline interview invite to start developing your interview skills, you're playing Russian roulette with your career. I'm sure by now you know that the airline industry has begun a hiring wave unlike any that we have seen in many years. But be warned that this window of opportunity will not last forever. The window will likely slam shut with the next spike in oil prices, world crisis, or economic downturn. The question is, where will you be when the music stops? The reality is you're competing with the guy or gal sitting next to you for a limited opportunity and a limited number of seats. So when you get that airline interview, you got to make it count. So here's the question. You spent years, maybe even decades, and tens of thousands of dollars to develop your flying skills. But how much time and money have you spent developing your interview skills? You can be the world's greatest pilot, but if you don't have interview skills, you'll be doomed to watch your fellow pilots advance to their dream jobs while you're left behind. Before we go any further, let me answer one very important question. Who am I, and what makes me qualified to talk to you about airline interviews? My name is Joel Gudger, and I serve as a captain on Boeing 767 aircraft for one of the largest airlines in the world. I got a rare peek behind the curtain of the hiring process by participating in my airline's mentorship program. I was actually trained by the head honchos of my airline's hiring department in how to prepare people just like you to successfully complete the interview and the hiring process. I was not only briefed on the questions, but more importantly, I was taught the reasons for the questions, and most important of all, what makes for a winning answer. I was able to see what happens before the applicant enters the room for his or her interview. I was able to sit in on actual interviews, and I was able to sit in on discussions after the applicant leaves the room. And most importantly, and this is the biggie, I was able to get direct feedback from the decision makers on what made an applicant successful or unsuccessful. This rare peek behind the curtain has enabled me and my fellow mentors to design an effective interview system, and we have the track record to prove it. We have placed our clients into major and regional airlines throughout this entire industry, and our clients' interview success rates are in the high 90% range. Pay close attention to this very short video because I'm about to reveal the secret that can literally make the difference between hearing those magic words, "you're hired," or that dreaded rejection letter. But first, let me tell you a true story about a pilot who got an interview with the airline that he was dying to work for ever since he took his first airplane ride as a young boy. Ross, the name has been changed to protect the guilty, was like a mentor to me. In fact, he is largely responsible for inspiring me to get in aviation in the first place. So when Ross got the interview, I was thrilled for him. He was a great pilot, so being hired seemed like a foregone conclusion. Unfortunately, Ross cut corners on his interview preparation. He decided to wait until he got the interview invite to hire the paid interview prep services for a few sessions. Although the paid prep services do a good job, the problem is that the airlines will usually allow only a couple of weeks or less to schedule the interview. Ross simply ran out of time to prepare. So when the time came for his interview, he aced his semi-evaluation, but he flamed out on the interview, and he knew it. He was crushed when he got the rejection letter. I'm happy to report that Ross was eventually hired, but his lack of preparation cost him over 2,000 seniority numbers. Why was Ross unprepared? Because he made the common and tragic mistake of waiting until he got the interview invite to start cramming for the most important opportunity of his life. Let's consider the cost of losing 2,000 seniority numbers. He lost hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of his career. He is stuck in the right seat instead of having a view from the captain's chair. He is forced to fly less desirable equipment. He is forced to fly the crappy schedules. And most importantly, he has less job security. The truth is, Ross will pay for this mistake for the rest of his career. In this industry, we must be able to learn from others' mistakes. And you better believe I'll learn from Ross's mistake. When I finally got an interview, I spared no expense and I took an all-of-above approach to my preparation. I took advantage of every resource I can get my hands on, and I started early. I was hired my first time out. In fact, and this is a little awkward, I am actually senior to Ross. Now let me ask you a question. Do you think that I ever regret investing my time and a measly few $100 to get hired my first time out? No way. Now, let me ask you another question. Do you think if Ross had it to do all over again, he would have started early preparing before he even got the interview, and he would have invested the money that would have enabled him to get hired his first time out? I know for a fact that he would. So here's the secret. When it comes to preparing for your next interview, put yourself in the absolute best position for success. How do you do that? By recognizing that during the hiring process, your interview skills are every bit as important as your stick and rudder skills. When you're preparing for your interview, start before you even get the interview and take an all of the above approach. Take advantage of every interview resource that you possibly can. With that in mind, I would like to introduce a tool that has enabled us to be so successful in placing our clients in their airlines of choice. It's called the Unfair Advantage. The Unfair Advantage does not give the same old tired, canned answers to interview questions. You will receive something far more important to the interview process. You will receive the same peek behind the curtain that I received. In other words, you're going to receive a blueprint straight from the horse's mouth. You will learn the reasons for the questions that the interviewers will ask. You will learn how to structure your responses to get the maximum scores from your interviewers. You will master the tell me about a time questions. You will master the what would you do questions. You will never be tripped up by the follow-up questions. And you'll be able to effectively interview with any airline. Here are just a few of the tidbits that are packed into this video. How to use the tell me about yourself question to turn your interviewers into your biggest allies during the hiring process. How to turn your everyday line experience into the content that will enable you to ace any airline interview. How to use the 4 fundamentals of CRM to speak the language of your interviewers and rack up maximum points. How to sidestep hidden traps that threatens to ruin your interview before you even get started. You will learn our single most powerful strategy that is sure to put you head and shoulders above your competition. You will learn a simple technique to handle the dreaded surprise question. You will learn how to avoid the 3 most common mistakes that applicants make without even realizing it. Listen, don't let these mistakes torpedo your interview. You will learn why it's critical that you recognize which of the 4 common methods that interviewers use to evaluate their applicants. We will show you exactly how to recognize them, and much, much more. Are you concerned that your check ride failures or other special issues may hold you back? You will receive a proven, effective strategy to prevent your special issues such as check ride failures and job terminations from derailing your interview. In fact, use this strategy and turn your biggest weaknesses into your greatest strength. In short, you will have in your possession a complete A to Z system that will prepare you to ace your very next airline interview. Listen, don't go it alone. The stakes are far too high to rely on trial and error to prepare for what may be the most important opportunity of your life. Doesn't it make much more sense to take advantage of a turnkey system that was developed using information straight from the horse's mouth and has a 20-year track record of success? Interviewing is one of the most important skills that you must have as a professional pilot. And I will say this again because it's so important. If you wait to receive your interview invite to start preparing, you're playing Russian roulette with your career. 20 years of preparing candidates just like you has taught me a simple but undeniable truth. That is, pilots who start preparing early for their interviews tend to get hired, and those who start late tend to get rejection letters. Don't be that pilot who blows your shot at your dream job simply because you procrastinated, or even worse, you cut corners on your preparation. I urge you to take action now. To make getting the Unfair Advantage system an absolute no-brainer, I am going to make you the following offer. You will receive the following: a 1 hour and 54-minute video packed with powerful career-changing strategies that will enable you to walk into your next interview with a strong feeling of inner confidence because you know that you have the skills and a proven strategy to succeed. You receive a guide that will enable you to get the absolute most out of your preparation time. And you receive a supplemental PowerPoint presentation that accompanies the video course. Plus, if you take action now, I will throw in 2 game-changing bonuses that will greatly enhance your chances of success on your very next interview. Bonus number 1, the hero of the movie video and written guide. The technique in this video alone is a game changer because the hero of the movie video will show you how to ace the single most important question on the entire interview, which is tell me about yourself. If you answer this question correctly, you can actually turn your interviewer from a gatekeeper standing between you and your dream job into your greatest ally. But be warned, if you don't answer this question correctly, your interview threatens to be over before it even gets started. In part 1 of this game-changing video, you'll discover how to make the interviewers identify with you, and more importantly, how to make the interviewers bond with you. In part 2, you'll discover 2 surefire things that you can do to make the interviewers root for you. In part 3, you will discover how to make the interviewers fight for you. Plus, you'll discover how to make sure your story is the ideal length so that it's not too short and not too long. Don't go into an interview without a strategy to handle this critical question. Bonus number 2, unfair advantage at the job fair. The unfair advantage at the job fair video will show you how to shine in that golden 5 minutes in front of a recruiter at the job fair. I'm sure you know that if you want to get the interview invite, it is an absolute must to attend job fairs. Your challenge is to stand out from the hundreds of other equally qualified pilots in the room. Do you really want to leave those critical 5 minutes to chance? Would you like to have a strategy that will enable you to get on the short list slated for that coveted airline interview invite? The unfair advantage of the job fair is a strategy based on input from actual major airline recruiters. So you will hear firsthand, straight from the horse's mouth, how to stand out from the crowd at the job fair. The unfair advantage of the job fair, combined with the hero of the movie technique, will enable you to separate yourself from the crowd so that the recruiters will remember you long after you leave the room. These 2 bonuses alone are well worth the price of admission. But let me warn you, this program will only be available for a limited time. Don't lose your opportunity to use this program to put yourself in the best position for success. Do you really want to gamble on cramming for what may be your one and only shot with your dream airline? Take this important first step towards receiving that coveted phone call saying that you're hired. Click on the instant access button below.